Hi, and welcome to the Room of Rock with Ted and I. Now, this time in the Room of Rock, we finally get this here guitar playable, and you get to hear what it sounds like. So hang around and see how we get on. Oh, and I've also got a funny little story about a Gibson Les Paul Jr., a real one, back in the 70s. One funny little story that involves an actual Gibson Les Paul Jr. When my father and I were going to get my Echo Ranger 6-string acoustic guitar, which I've used in some videos, which would have been probably in about 77 or something like that. I know I was still at school, and I believe it was a birthday present, the guitar. And we went to this, what was like a swap shop, kind of the type of shop that sold guitars, amplifiers, but air rifles, catapults, one of those kind of shops in Croydon. And in there, while we were getting my brand new Echo, they also had a Gibson Les Paul Jr. single cutaway in TV yellow. And I can remember seeing this thing hanging up on the wall thinking, oh, that looks a bit scruffy. But it's a Gibson for under £200. And I remember thinking that, wow, a real Gibson for under £200. But I didn't like it because I thought it was a bit basic with only one pickup and two knobs. You know, when you're that age, you want lots of switches and gizmos on a guitar. You don't kind of realise that sometimes the simpler the better. So anyway, this Gibson that was there, and it was, you know, a bit battered through age, it would have only been, even if it was a 50s one, it wouldn't have been massively old back then, of course. Maybe 20 years at the most, possibly. You know, it was, looked a bit scruffy and downtrodden, which is something now, you know, people would cry out for all that patina on it, and it was the right colour, TV yellow, the mustardy yellow colour that they did. And if, and I'm not saying we ever would, but if we'd bought that Gibson then, that would now be worth thousands. It had been a real collector's piece. But there you go. And I remember at the time thinking it was boring and simple, and who would want something that basic when you can have something with 3 pickups and lots of switches and lots of knobs on it. And then years later, I would. Well, here we go. Now we're going to do a few sound bites just so you can get a flavour of what the guitar actually sounds like after all that hard work. I'm pleased with the work. As you can see, the strings have been cut down, the truss rod cover's back on. So the guitar, for all intents and purposes, is ready to go. One thing I didn't show in the video was me just filing down the fret ends and polish them up so they're not sharp anymore. With the guitar, you know, new to this environment, it's come from, you know, a cold shipping container or a cold warehouse and into a modern centrally heated home. I'm expecting it to take, you know, a little while to settle down and acclimatise, and I might need to just lick over the ends of the frets again in a month's time maybe, as the neck dries out slightly more. But as I say, I'm pleased with the work I did and the effort I put into it. One great thing for me was I managed to do it all without putting any marks on the guitar, which is always a worry. Now let's have a listen, see what it sounds like. How I've done this, I'm running this microphone just purely so you can hear what I'm saying, because I'd normally use a shotgun microphone on top of the camera, but to give a more fair representation of the guitar, I've got a Shure Beta 57 sitting in front of the speaker on my JCM 900 Marshall. And between the guitar and the amp there's nothing, just a straight cable, and then the EQ on the mixer is flat, coming straight into the camera, just so that you can get an idea, hopefully as pure an idea as what the guitar sounds like as it's possible for me to do. Interestingly, initial impressions are it's very bright. You know, if you got the volume and tone full up, it's kind of in Telecaster territory. And you roll the tone off a bit, you get I don't think I'd use it with it fully open because I think it's too spiky. But with the volume back down a bit, you can get some usable clean tones. Now the tone is at about 5 there, so it's rolled back a fair bit just to take the edge off of it. Well, what we do now, we'll flip it over onto the naughty channel of the Marshall, so you can hear what the lead or the overdriven sounds sound like. Something that this kind of guitar's, got a reputation for. Well, what I'll do now, I'll flip on a backing track from my looper, and I'll play along to that so you can hear a bit of the sound clean and dirty within the mix of a tune. Well, I hope that's given you a bit of an overview of the guitar, and in my mind now, now the guitar's sorted, I really like it, and just goes to show that underneath all the aggravation is the basis of a very good guitar. One little mod I did do was where I'd intonated the bridge. It's quite a long way back on the post, so there wasn't a lot of the grub screw that holds it in position in the bridge. A lot of it was threaded out. So off of eBay I got a 60mm M3 grub screw, which was longer, so that with that in, most of the thread, it's all the way through the body, so it's a lot more secure. It was just a silly little mod, and I think I paid under £2 for 5 of them. So that might be worth doing if you're up against the same thing with one of these wraparound bridges. Yes, well, I hope hopefully that's been interesting for you. If you like what we're doing here in the Room of Rock, please like and subscribe, because it means a lot to old Teddy Boy, as we all know. And we'll be back again soon with something similar, only it'll probably feature this here guitar on a tune. So we'll see you again soon in the Room of Rock.